Hello, friends. Welcome to Nirmal Bang. I'm Piyush Jain, and today we are bringing to you a new company which is very soon going to get listed on the bourses. The name of the company is Apeejay Surrendra Park Hotels Limited, and today joining us on the show is management of the company, Ms. Priya Paul, the Chairperson and the Executive Director of the company, and Mr. Vijay Dewan, the Managing Director of the company. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Paul, let's start from you first. Help us understand how has been the journey setting up hotels, creating brands, then actually adding more sort of properties, ensuring the sort of occupancies, the return ratios. It's not an easy task. It takes years actually to really build a brand. So help us understand when it started and how basically it has been.
Sure. Thank you so much. So Apeejay Surrendra Park Hotels is part of Apeejay Surrendra Group, which is a company that was formed in 1910 with its business primarily in steel. And it was a family business. And even to this day, the Apeejay Surrendra Group is a family business, which is owned by me, my sister, and my brother equally. And hospitality is really one of the cornerstones of our businesses, but the other businesses are real estate, logistics and warehousing, and shipping, and of course, other philanthropic interests. So, hospitality started in 1967 with the first hotel in Park Street in Kolkata, and that's where the brand gets its name. We then opened another hotel in 1968 in Vishakhapatnam, and that was Andhra Pradesh's first five-star hotel, and then followed it with a hotel in New Delhi. I joined the business in 1988, and not with a background in hospitality as such. I had studied economics, and I think because I didn't have this hospitality, let's say, training, I could look at the business and hotels in a very different light. I was, however, very clear that I wanted to use contemporary culture, whether it was art, design, music, food, and nightlife, to differentiate the hotels and make them really happening hotels in the cities they were in. So, Mr. Dewan joined my team in 1991, and together we crafted this into a vision of leadership through differentiation. And that's something that guides us and every member of the team to innovate, to create, and to build brands across not just hotels, but also restaurants, bars, nightlife, and spas. So that's what made the park and these three hotels really successful. And we built this into a very exciting portfolio of three hotels. At the end of 1990s, my family, we decided that this is a business that we feel has great growth potential, and we must invest further in it. So we acquired two properties, one in Bangalore and one in Chennai, and then went on to build out our brand architecture, uh, and really build brands across a couple of different segments. So one is, of course, the park and the park hotels. And then we also created a brand for the tier two cities, which is called Zone by the Park. And, I'm giving you a shorter history that I would normally give, but we now have, from those three hotels, we have 30 hotels with over 2,200 rooms and present in about 20 cities so far, and with a very robust plan going forward.
Right, and Mr. Devan, coming to you from the perspective of a strategy, like how the company was able to craft a strategy between different brands, because you also have Flurry, then also, as Ms. Paul just highlighted, there is a Stop by Zone, there is a Zone Connect by the Park, multiple brands. What has been the driving factor behind the strategy?
So we have been building this strategy over the years. So the whole game plan is to grow on all sides of the business. That is on the ownership side of the hotels, then the lease side, as well as on the management side. That is the asset light side of the model. And at the same time, develop the food and beverage business, which is the fastest growing business at the moment in the country. So there comes in Flurries, which is in the F&B retail segment of the business. And today we have 73 outlets of Flurries. 64 of them are in Calcutta and about 8 in Mumbai region. So this is how the planning has been. So this is now the strength of the company, that the growth is going to happen on the own side on the leases, on the lease side as well as on the management side. What we tend to bring onto the table is obviously our strategy is to maximize in terms of occupancy and RevPAR. Today we have the highest occupancy in the country of 92%. This is a 30% premium compared to the competitors, and we are
Yes.
marketing not only in occupancy but also in RevPAR in the segment in which we are operating. Even in the two COVID years, we had very high occupancy and 67 and 79%, which is the highest in the country. So
And
the other
this is very
strategy,
important.
yeah.
Apologies for interrupting in between, but this is very important to understand because this was something which was standing out when I was seeing your RHP. I was going through the numbers, and this was standing out, and I was wondering why this is a factor. Like, help us understand why occupancy is higher compared to the peers.
Okay, so occupancy is high at the park hotels. There are a number of reasons for that. Number one, of course, being that we have a high percentage of repeat customers, which is in the range of 25 to 30%. Second is that we run a very sophisticated AI-based revenue management system. The third reason is that we have a highly motivated sales and marketing and revenue management team, and it's the team which is making all the difference. And lastly, of course, there are actually two more reasons that it's also the question of great locations where we are. And lastly, we run our hotels as entertainment destinations. So within the business district, if you can create an entertainment destination, you will always have very high occupancies during the weekends. Typically, in business hotels, occupancy tends to drop on the weekends. So in our case, occupancies are high during the weekdays as well as because of the entertainment option. It continues to be high, in fact, sometimes greater than that on the weekends. So that accounts for the
Okay,
overall
just
occupancy.
developing this point here. When you say entertainment destinations, like what is it different versus peers? Because rest all stuff can be replicated, but this is something which is perhaps something which you have branded or you would have positioned yourself in the city. Like what actually Park is known for on the weekends.
So I was going to come in here. So
Sure.
actually, the way we differentiated the park was actually making the hotels hubs of nightlife and fun in the cities. And when we started doing this in 93, 94, there were very few entertainment destinations or food destinations available to all of us living here. And so that's what we started to create to really differentiate. So we have about 81 different brands and restaurants and bars and clubs in all our hotels. And we try not to make each one similar. So they have a distinct identity. Some of them have been running, like there's a Someplace Else, which has been running in Calcutta very successfully for 30 years. We've now brought that to Mumbai in the BKC, one of the malls. So we understand what food and beverage customers want. We understand what um, how people want to spend their money. And this is the insight which, when we were creating our zone properties and the hotel brand, is we looked at tier two and tier three cities and said, okay, fine, this is where there's also an unmet demand for food and beverage and nightlife. So our hotels in these small cities all have a good restaurant, a good bar, and banqueting spaces for the events. So it's not just a room only product. We believe in creating places that, whether it's local customers or whether customers from across the country or the world would like to come and stay there because of let's say the level of activity and excitement that our
Sure.
teams create. So
Sure. Miss
just
Paul,
to
eh,
Just to add
sure,
on,
please add.
see, it's the question of how do we look at creation of value. Value creation typically in hotels is largely happening through quality services, providing that consistently over time. In our case, the value creation is also happening through entertainment, and that is the key differentiator. So, wherever value gets created, business automatically follows. So, as a result of this, 39% of our contribution comes from F&B as per the previous year's performance, and this year it has gone to 42%. So F&B is a major contributor to our success. So big strength in terms of occupancy and repa, and very strong strength in food and beverage as well.
Sure. That is quite evident. One more thing which I had observed that over the last 2 years, there is a conscious strategy of taking more hotels on managed route. Because if I look at the number of hotels, it has increased from 17 to 25 by the end of FY23, and largely the addition of those 8 hotels are largely actually managed hotels. So, is there a sort of strategy to take more and more managed hotels? Help us understand.
So all of them actually, all the strategies are there. So we have in the park and the park collection portfolio, we have owned properties, we have management contracts, three of them, and we have now three lease properties, which are one is already there and two are opening. So we have all three management styles. But the growth has really come on the asset light in the zone by the park and zone connect, where
Mhm.
we have 20 hotels running currently, another 14, 15 in the RHP, which are in various stages of development over the next few years. We will be adding to that for sure. So, that's where we are partnering in these tier two and tier three cities and small state capitals to build these assets with a high degree of differentiation and our understanding of Indian customers.
And
So
Ms. Paul,
that's
here
what
you
we
are taking as
have.
a percentage of sale as a royalty. Like, how's the revenue model working?
Yes.
Yes, we do that. So this gives us about 6 to 7% on the whole to our total revenue. So, and also because it's an asset light model, it contributes directly to the bottom line, adds about 65 to 70% is actually the flow through. So on a
Hmm.
revenue say, if the revenue was to be 10 crores, contribution from this business would be 65, 6.5 to 7 crores directly hitting the bottom line.
Okay, for our viewers, number of hotels basically has increased from 70 to 25 from FY 21-23. Number of operating keys have increased from 1600 odd to about 2000 plus by the end of FY23. So pretty much a strong increase there. And room rent, average room rent actually has almost not doubled, but still almost close to doubled. How this was achieved, Mr. Dewan? Almost we're talking about 6,000 rupees now versus 3,000 rupees earlier at the end of FY21.
The ARR for us, if you were to exclude the COVID period, is generally growing at the rate of 12 to 14% on a CAGR basis, and this will continue to be the trend because of a huge demand supply mismatch which is there in the market. So we will continue to grow at this pace, and
But now at a ARR of 6,000, like versus the cities where you are, what's the scope of this going further up?
so depend upon different cities, the eras, and the it's also the business is very seasonal in nature. So
Sure.
eras, as I mentioned, is steadily going up.
Okay.
This result is an annual result of 22-23, but this year we plan to close our ARRs close to about 7,000, and
Oh,
already we are seeing signs of that in the first 6 months. So we are at the same level, and this is the peak season which we are going through. So we are expecting high ARRs going forward. And the ARR growth for the industry is projected to be at 10 to 12%. We being in the higher occupancy range, we are sitting at a point where we can derive maximum advantage as the demand supply mismatch plays out.
sure. In fact, the margins are also telling the same story. Now almost at 33% margins. You actually have more than double the EBITDA margin. So that's something good. Even versus the last year, it's almost from 21% to 24%. Very strong margin increase.
Right.
Let's also talk about how much funds you are looking to raise from this IPO. As I know, you are actually looking to almost turn the net debt to zero. Like, how's that?
Absolutely. So we are raising 600 in the primary and 320 in the OFS. And out of the 600, 550 goes to pay off our debt, and pretty much all of our debt will be cleared by the end of this financial year, leaving us completely debt free. And with the strong growth and the sales, the next few years, our accumulated cash flows are projected to be very high. We're going to be building out our own hotels. So a lot of that will come from these internal accruals, And we also, of course, have a plans to take Flurries forward, and then and regular capex in all our existing hotels. So, but even with that, we have ample headroom and cash flows to fund further growth, and be it acquisitions or just investing in our own company. So it's a quite
Sure.
exciting, strong. It's a great time for us to build this business out in the going forward in the next few 4 5 years.
I have three questions listening to your answer, ma'am. Question number one, could you help me with the existing average rate of interest, like 8 9%? Like what would be that for the debt?
It's about 9.2% or so at the moment. So we have
Okay,
always
that's
maintained very
almost
good.
then I would say 50 crores of interest savings.
Yes,
Tax adjusted at least 40 crores going into the bottom line, and we actually are talking about virtually profit just by this itself increasing by 75% at least. So that's something
absolutely.
I think worth noting, I think, for our viewers. So something very
Yeah,
interesting.
you're
And
absolutely right. And yeah, yeah.
second point perhaps would be from the perspective of what are the new properties which are going to get added up over the next 2 years. As you just said, a couple of them are in
So,
construction stage or in various stages. Please help us understand.
absolutely. I'll just tell you. So it's actually as per the RHP and the kind of the documented plans. It's already 56 hotels by 2026. We have three properties opening in the next 3 months. One is in Digha and West Bengal, which is with a zone property, and that's on lease. So that property, and we have two palace properties, one in Patiala and Punjab, and the other one in Chettinad, Tamil Nadu. These three are all on long leases, and we are opening them all by May of this year. They will total room count is about 122, but the two palace properties are very high ARR areas, and because they're very unique palace properties, and those are in the collection hotels. So three will immediately add to our top line and revenues also because they are lease properties. And then we have about three or four more Zone by the Park and Zone Connect properties that are coming on stream in the next few months, in this financial and whatever in the next financial year. And in the
These,
meantime, we will also
these must
commence
be the managed properties, ma'am. Sorry, right?
other matters. Then we will commence construction on our property in Navi Mumbai, which is right now it's 80 rooms and it's only 4 kilometers from the new airport that's about to open. But we've already done some drawings and the permissions are underway to build another 80 to 100 room tower. And this will, it's obviously Navi Mumbai is just growing by leaps and bounds. Our Pune
Yes.
project was stalled just before COVID. We've already reached up to ground floor level. Again, permissions on that will start. And that property will also come onto the market fairly soon, because we already completed up to the ground floor. And then we will build out our property in Vishakhapatnam, then in the second one in Kolkata, and of course, then Jaipur. So all that pipeline is also happening while we keep on adding the management contracts and leased contracts.
Ma'am, cumulatively, how many operating keys we are talking about here over the next 24 months?
24 months. You can go through it.
I'm, I-
No,
I'm, I'm just saying whatever hotels you were talking about. So a rough idea I was just asking about.
So first, let me tell you what is the
20
total
24.
5-year plan. See, currently we have 2,298 keys, and this is going to increase to 4,405. So virtually over 5 years, we are going to double our inventory. So large part of the development is going to take place on the asset light side of the model, as you have also observed. So the asset light side of the model will increase by 1,365 keys. So currently my on the asset
That
light side of
that
the model,
definitely is going to support your margins because right now 2,000 1,300 asset light,
so
that
it will
automatically basically is saying that.
so that will sort of make the big difference. So
Sure.
properties will keep opening over a period of time. So say in 26 27 our own hotels are going to start opening with the opening of Pune, 200 rooms, and then about 80 rooms at Navi Mumbai. So in that year, our 260 rooms, 280 rooms of our own properties are going to open. This will be followed by the opening of Vishakhapatnam in 2027-28, which is 100 rooms, and then
Sure.
followed by the opening of 250 rooms at EM Bypass. So one of the key strategy we have is that we have these three land banks, and we have 15 lakh square feet of overall FSI in our balance sheet. So about 11 lakh square feet of FSI is going to be developed over the next 5 years, and that is going to significantly propel our growth going forward.
Very nice number. That gives a good visibility. I think my last question, and that I think should be a good answer for our viewers who would be looking at FY22 and FY21, and they would be wondering, revenue numbers were good, EBITDA was good, margins again were good, but what happened to the restated profit? Because that was in red. As I see, almost 28 crores and 75 crores of loss in FY22, FY21. There must be something exceptional. So what happened there? Please give us an idea about that.
So that is related to the period of COVID. And
COVID.
even in terms of the COVID years, our company, if you were to look at the RHP advertisement, our company did the best. Firstly, in terms of occupancy, we were at 67% and then 79%. And in both these COVID years, our performance was better on the EBITDA front compared to the competitors.
No, no,
So,
sir. I'm asking EBITDA is positive. No problem on that. 21% margin in FY22, 58 crores EBITDA. But you had a loss of, in the restated profit, you had a loss of 28 crores. So I was
no,
asking what
yeah,
happened
yeah,
there.
understood. Understood. That's largely
Sure.
because of the interest payments.
Yeah.
That is because of the
Accrued
revenues.
interest payments? Was
Yeah,
that like that?
Yeah.
interest payments and the revenues sort of substantially dropping during the COVID period from roughly
Sure.
about 440 crores to roughly about 120 92 crores in that first year of COVID. Despite that, we were EBITDA positive, and some of our competitors during that time had higher losses both on the EBITDA front as well as on the
Just
PAT.
just one question, sir. When you were paying interest in FY22, were there also accrued interest payments of previous years?
Yes.
Yes, yes, there
Yes,
were.
yes, yes.
It was there, right?
Yeah, we had to take an additional almost 200 crores during COVID, and that was largely
Exactly,
through
exactly.
PLS.
Because that was very clearly visible. That's why I was just confirming it.
Yeah.
So we can clearly say that FY23 should be our normalized year now, this time.
Yes,
What was
Almost.
actually?
it is. Yeah, it is more than normalized because hospitality has come back in a big way. So the growth has been phenomenal. So the EBITDA growth has been 1,300 basis point over the pre-COVID level. And on the PAT front, the percentage growth over pre-COVID level is 110%, which is substantial. So going forward, we are looking at sustained growth. We are looking at very high focus on being a green company and also providing for superior corporate governance.
Well, thanks a lot, Ms. Paul, and thanks a lot, Mr. Dewan, for coming on our show and giving us such good insights about the company. Looks a great story. A lot of rooms are going to be added. Margins are looking great. Huge debt reduction. So perhaps I think all actually are sort of great part of a story, which I believe perhaps is going to see a great success. All the best wishes for the IPO, and thanks
Thank
a lot for coming on the show.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Piyush.
Thank you.
Thanks for your support. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
And dear viewers, hope you enjoyed this conversation. For now, it's a wrap on this conversation.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to never miss an update from Nirmal Bang.